joint on this?
Yeah, we'll come up. That way we can kind of see. Yeah, that's sweet there. Okay, we'll give it a couple of minutes so that people can kind of get on and get watching. Because I can go through and tag people. I don't fucking... Too many people with sport on. Alright guys, if you're jumping on, just hang out a couple of minutes. We're going to see if we can get a couple more on before we kind of get started.
How do you shave?
Yes, sir. So relax. Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, that way we can see the...
Yeah, sweet.
Alright guys, if you are watching, could you just quickly let us know if you can hear us alright? There is a helicopter flying around, so hopefully it doesn't impact too much. Just give us a quick comment or like or something letting us know that you can hear. Let's see when it comes up. Actually, we'll leave me notepad. We got 24. Okay, got someone liking. Sweet, a couple of people liking. Okay, sweet. So you can hear us. Get a message. She said you can hear heaps well. Alright guys, let's give it one more minute, then we'll get started. If people jump in, they jump in. If not, all it's good, they can always watch it later. But make sure that you do make the most of this tonight. If you have questions, ask them. You might not get this opportunity. Kind of talk to someone with Luke's experience again, so yeah, don't be shy. Post up, whatever you want. We'll do our best to kind of answer it, but okay, sweet. Alright guys, so we will kind of get started. Obviously this is Luke. He is a physiotherapist with South Sydney Rabbitohs. He also works at Gymea Physio Focus. Just a quick one on how I kind of know Luke. So Luke used to be my physio down when I played with Cronulla. Like a long time ago now, probably about 7 years ago now. He helped me through a lot of injuries that I had kind of while I was playing. He's also helped Tay when she ruptured her ACL. So as soon as she did that, first physio I thought of to take it to was Luke, because he helped me so much and he kind of cares about his patients, unlike a lot of kind of physios out there and like a lot of people unfortunately. But so he kind of helped her get back on track and get back in all her sport and fitness and playing Oztag and all that. So that's kind of how I know Luke, how I met Luke. I'll kind of let Luke kind of talk a little bit about why he started doing physio, where he's at now with his career, and kind of where he wants to head with it, I guess.
Thanks, Smith. Thanks for having us. Look, I decided to be a physio. I think I always wanted to do something with sport. And probably when I was about 15, 16 years of age, I realised I wasn't really going to have a career playing sport. So the next best thing was to help those that could play. And physio was sort of one stream that I did look at. I started with exercise science, and I sort of had a real sort of love and passion for the active side of rehab. Completing that, I realised that it's also necessary to understand when things go wrong from an injuries perspective, and that's what sort of the physio realm gives you. So I then went and did my Masters of Physiotherapy, and then in my time I sort of kept my, I started with local sport and then built up to semi-professional sport and then professional sport. And over the time I've been lucky enough to go and complete my Sports Masters, but then through that get an opportunity with the Rabbitohs, and I've been there for the last 4 years, and I love it. I'm actually hating this, this isolation that's going on at the moment. Can't wait to get back to work, but yeah, I've been pretty lucky. It's been a long road, but it's been one that's worth it. So I also work up the road at the clinic, generally one afternoon a week at Gymea Physio Focus. But now that I've got a bit more time on my hands, I'm up there a little bit more often. Sweet,
amazing. So yeah, that's kind of Luke's background. Obviously, as I said earlier, he's got a wealth of experience. He's worked with numerous different kind of clients, obviously athletes, general pop, kind of a little bit of everything. So if you do have questions, no matter how silly you might think it is, feel free to ask it. He'll do his best to kind of answer it. That's kind of the whole reason he came in. He's just trying to do his best to give back and help anyone that he can in any way that he can. But one last thing just before we kind of get started, if you're wondering why we're a little bit awkwardly spaced out, is obviously this whole kind of social distancing thing. So yeah, I know it looks awkward on camera, just bear with us, it's the best we can kind of do at the moment.
I thought it was weird, I couldn't even like shake your hand.
So yeah, if you have questions, jump in, comment, ask them. Obviously these kind of Q&As, the live videos do work better with a little bit of interaction, all right, makes it less awkward on us just kind of talking to a phone, but yeah, so feel free to get on board. But other than that, we will pretty much get started. So first kind of thing before we get, I know I posted up something the other day and a few people commented on that, we will get to those very shortly. But I did get a couple of people just kind of private message me and ask a couple of questions. So we'll just start with those ones first and then we'll build in to those comments that we got. So the first question kind of, Luke, that came through was, someone said they're an office worker. Yep. They've seen a whole lot of stress and tension through their neck, through their kind of shoulders, all that. Is there a reason for that, and kind of what would you give to someone that is experiencing that, is going through that?
I think the first thing I always say to people is that no one ever holds a perfect posture. I'm even sitting here now, I know that I'm slouching forward a little bit, and the reason we do that is because we tend to find that a bit more comfortable, especially if we get engrossed in whatever we're doing. I think I've always said to people, change and move posture as often as you can. So I often say to someone, if you're sitting at a desk for an hour, every 10 minutes, sit up, roll your shoulders back, move your neck, turn around, stand up, just give yourself a little bit of a general movement. And then there's nothing, no rocket science about that, but it's just letting the blood flow again through all your muscles, and then you can start again. So that's a real simple and quick one. Obviously you can go through different stretches, so you can start at your neck and you can give yourself a little neck stretch. You can do, even on your seat, if you're sitting forward, you can sort of reach down in between your legs and hold stretches like that. Thoracic spine, turning, there's a mountain of exercises, and but I think probably the big takeaway is change your posture as often as you can. Don't get stuck in any posture, because even a good posture, if you're stuck in a good posture for a long period of time, that can actually place more pressure on your lower back and cause you pain like that. So that's probably the first key thing. The second key point I'll say is make sure that where you're working is set up properly. So don't sit with a laptop on your lap and lean forward and do it. Sit it up on a desk, make sure it's at eye level so that you can sit up straight. And a quick little test is, if you actually try and push your neck out when you're sitting down in a slouch position, it's quite easy. But if you actually sit yourself up, and you can do that by placing like a pillow in behind your back, you actually sit here and then try and stick your neck out. It's actually uncomfortable and you feel pretty stupid. But if you go back to that posture, sometimes you won't even realise you're doing it. So it's always, if you can just correct yourself, bang, that's a nice easy one you can do as well.
Sweet, easy. So hopefully kind of that helps a few people, because I know a lot of people probably in this group are office workers, and obviously with all these kind of rules coming into place, you might be working from home. So if you are, there's a couple of kind of perfect tips that you can do. One, to either kind of keep yourself moving, keep yourself free throughout the day, or just how to readjust your desk to get it to that level that you need that to keep your good posture throughout. The next kind of question that came through, it's kind of common sense and a little bit of kind of self-knowledge. I know this person, so I know kind of why it probably happens, but there's probably a few people in the same boat. So it's for people that play just general kind of sport on the weekend, for the local team. They asked why they pull up sore after soccer more than they do after training sessions. I'll give you a little hint. This person probably gets to the game 5 minutes before the game starts, doesn't actually warm up. So if that's you, probably the biggest one, Luke, say get there, warm up, probably stretch, do all that, but it might give you a little bit more of an indication as to why kind of running for 90 minutes might pull you up a little bit sore than kind of a normal training session that you might do.
Well, generally your game is your most intense session of the week. So when you're playing, you're focused on one thing, what's happening in the game. So your intensity level rises. So you're going to be working harder. So that's probably why you're sorer than what you are at training. Because if you're anything like when I used to play, your semi-professional sports and that, you wouldn't be, your park sports, you're not really training that hard. Like you train a little bit, but there's a lot more breaks and rest and that. But where in the game goes for the set time, whether it's soccer for 90 minutes or footy for 80 minutes. So the intensity level's higher on the weekend. When it comes to warming up, look, if you watch a professional side, They get there, they warm up, half an hour before the game. They go through a dynamic warm-up and a static warm-up that best prepares them for what they're going to do on the field. So if you want to feel better, get there earlier, warm up the muscles you're going to use, and you're going to feel a little bit better post the game and post training. But I laugh because I play Oztag and play touch footy, and I still turn up 2 minutes before the game, throw my boots on, go and run, and wonder why I'm sore the next day. So I think sometimes it's easy for us to say you've got to do all these things, but if you've got 5 minutes or 10 minutes, just keep it dynamic. Make sure your warm-up's dynamic. Don't get there with a cold muscle and do a static hold stretch where it's your hamstrings or your calves or your quads or whatever it is. You're better off going for a walk and then a slow jog and then some little walking lunges, some little squats, anything that's going to best prepare you for what you're about to do. So if you're going to go and play cricket or throw a ball, throw a few balls, like warm your shoulders up. And be creative. You don't have to stick to a strict textbook on how to do things. Sometimes if it feels good and it warms you up and makes you feel good, then go and do it. Don't overcomplicate it. That's probably
the biggest one. No, don't overcomplicate it. So, as I said, kind of who you are that send that through. Just get to the games a little bit earlier. Have a bit of a warm up. As Luke said, it doesn't have to be. You don't have to watch what they do on telly and all these professional sports and copy it. Just get down home and kick a ball with them, mate. Run around a little bit for 10 minutes before you actually run on the field. One, you'll feel better while you're actually playing because you'll be able to start the game properly and not kind of take the first 15, 20 minutes getting into it. And at the same time, you'll feel a heap better afterwards, all right? Your body will thank you after the game.
And also, your risk of injury does reduce. If you're warmed up and you've prepared your body for what it's about to do, your risk of injury will be lower than what it is if you just get out of your car and go and play. And so you can get there earlier.
100%. So, guys, they're kind of the messages that I got in private, but we're going to move on to the ones that people commented on the post in the group. So, first one's first is from Lauren Farmer. So, it's ankle rehab post-fracture suggestions.
So, if I'm guessing that you've been in a boot at the very least, or a plaster cast for 6 weeks, and then you're starting to be weight bearing. So once you're weight bearing, I think with anything, you've got there's sort of key things. You want to look at muscle length, so you're stretching. You want to look at your balance and your proprioception and your stability, so anything that tests that, and then strength. And that's probably the most important thing of anything. So whether you're doing calf raises, and I actually did on my Instagram today, rehab by Luke, that there is I've done 4 calf exercises, and they're all body weight exercises that you can do. But you want to work on that whole posterior complex predominantly, but also we can get creative with the muscles at the front. But I think the key thing is strength. So strengthening your calf. So you think about it, we walk and walk and walk. So regardless if you don't do anything else but walk around, that's a whole lot of load that goes through your lower legs. So simple calf raises up and down, single leg, double leg, with a bent knee. Anything that challenges different positions. That's sort of one factor to it. I think the second one, obviously, your calf stretches. So whether or not you do the one leaning against the wall with your leg out straight, putting your foot on a block and holding it, anything you feel a nice stretch through the back is important. And then another one that you can do is sitting in front of the TV with your feet underneath your bottom, so you get that front part of your leg gets a good stretch. That often gets negated or left behind in some rehab programs. And I think the last one is balance. So you can test your balance. We can stand next to a wall and throw a ball against the wall. We can close our eyes. We can jump and land. Anything that tests your balance, you can do that specifically for a rehab session. We can do it throughout the day. So I often say to people, you're sitting at home, if you're cooking dinner waiting for something to cook, stand there with your eyes closed, stand on one leg, close your eyes, and then swap. Anything that tests that proprioception of the ankle, because at the end of the day, if you've had a fracture or a bad sprain, you lose proprioceptors. So we lose them over time as we get older. That's why we tend to see a lot of elderly population looking at the ground when they walk, because they're not sure where they're putting their feet. But once you've had a fracture or a bad sprain, you lose that as well. So you want to get that back as quick as you can. So the only way you challenge yourself is by not looking at the ground and letting your foot find itself in space. So start statically and then move it to a more dynamic exercise.
Yeah, sweet. And I think, as kind of Luke said there, that's kind of perfect, not only for if you've had a fracture, but also like a bad sprain. So you might have sprained your ankle playing soccer, you might have, you know what I mean, drunk off your head down Norleys on the weekend, rolled it on the gutter, you know what I mean? There's a million different ways you can roll your ankle. It's one of the easiest kind of things to do, but those exercises and everything you just said there, it's not specific to if you've fractured it or broken it, you know what I mean? If you just feel like you have a kind of weaker ankle than the other side from a past injury that you've had, just start working on some of those things. You'll be kind of surprised, I think, at how much better it starts to feel over time and doing those exercises. So, next one, guys, this is a little bit long question, so just bear with me, but then I'll kind of break it down. This is from Jason McGrath. Is there any way to proper get rid of shin splints, and what recommendations would you have to prevent them or stop them from coming back for good? So, I know Jason asked this, but I know a lot of my clients do complain about this if they obviously go for runs on their lunch breaks, they're running on concrete and stuff like that. So if you've ever kind of experienced shin splints or think you might be getting them, this is probably a good question for you to listen to as well.
Yeah, look, shin splints are they are quite common, and obviously if you go down into what is actually occurring, the physiological part of it, it's quite a big thing, progression. But for the majority of us, we feel pain in our shin, and generally that's because we've increased load through that area. Now that might be, we decided we're going to get really fit and we're going to go run 20 k's a week and we've never run before, okay? Another way we might do is because we might have put on a little bit of extra weight and there's more weight going through that area. Another one might be that you've come back from an injury and you've tried to ramp it up too quickly. It might be your footwear, what you're wearing. So when you're actually running, when you're hitting the ground, you're getting more ground reaction forces through the shin. So like there's so many different layers to it, but can you get rid of it? Yes. It's for those that have had it for a long period of time and they want to continue doing those exercises that are probably aggravating it. It might be that for the next foreseeable future, you need to change how you do with those exercises. So it might be a day on, day off approach. It might be 2 days running, 3 days off. Whatever it is, whatever it works, and everyone's different. It might be just that you have to change the way you approach what you're doing, not necessarily not do it at all. Okay? Because at the end of the day, it can be just that the bone and the periosteum around the bone there's a little bit sort of inflamed, or what we call if we bone scan it, you see a little bit of hot. It's like we call it a hot spot. That just goes down. It's like sort of if you go and run and your calves are really sore the next day, you get that DOMSy sort of pain. It's a similar thing. It's a different process, but it's a similar thing that's occurring. They're just hot, they're bothered, you need to let them rest. So when you get those symptoms, don't keep running, unless you're in a competition, you've got to get through a period. Don't keep running, back it off, do your recovery, your ice, your stretching. You can self-massage through there, massage through your calves, stretch your calves. They will all help, and then let it settle, and then next time when you go to do that same activity, you might do it at 80% intensity. Get through it, feels good, perfect. And I think also the other thing I'll talk about is when you go back into exercise, ramp things up so that if you're going to go for, say you used to run 5Ks a day 4 times a week. So the first week you might go, okay, I'm going to run 2Ks on Monday, I'm going to run 2Ks on Wednesday, and on Friday I'm going to do 3Ks. So it's a gradual progression, and you might have symptoms of 1 or 2 out of 10. But as long as it stays at 1 or 2 out of 10 for the rest of the week and then doesn't progress the next week, that's okay. Yeah? There's no real, I think sometimes we get sort of so focused on being 0 out of 10 pain. I don't think I've ever met anyone that's 0 out of 10 pain for anything. So, 1 and 2 out of 10 out of 10 is okay.
Sweet. Hey, so as I said, I know there's a lot of people out there that kind of experience it. So as Luke kind of said, just be smart about it. If you're getting really bad pain while you're doing something, stop. You know what I mean? Stop. Figure out what it is that's kind of hurting, why it's hurting, what made it hurt, and then kind of take it back a little bit. And
find something that you can do. We have a saying, like the guys that get injured, it's not a focus on what they can't do, it's a focus on what they can do. So we find, okay, we can work on this now. And until that settles, and then we'll go back to that task.
So that's perfect. The next one here is from Aaron Varney. So plantar fasciitis, is there any good exercise that can help treat it? I find walking makes it worse, not running. When I wake up in the morning, I can hardly put pressure on it.
Yeah. Look, it's probably one of, if you Google plantar fasciitis, it's probably up there with tennis elbow. There's 1,000 things that you can do, and some work for some work for others. I was talking to a patient today in the clinic, actually treated him for his plantar fasciitis, and I said to him, what do you think made the biggest difference to you? And he said to me, for him, it was, he thinks he's become stronger in his calves, calf work. We've done a heap of calf work. He feels that that's been the thing that's helped him. He went from, he could do 5 single leg calf raises. Now he's, loaded up. He's got about 30 kilos on the bar doing a single leg calf raise for 10 reps. So I think that's helped him. So that's one element. For others, it's footwear. So changing, wearing the appropriate footwear that places your foot in a better biomechanical position. Now, I'm not a podiatrist. I think that if you're someone, if you see your physio and they comment on your feet, I mean, we can put some temporary, we can put orthotics in shoes. I tend to think that if I look at it, I think, oh, the foot's not too nasty, I'll do that. But otherwise, I jump down and see a podiatrist and make sure that, some people have got a really high arch, some people have got no arch. All right. They talk about trying to be somewhere in the middle. All right, a neutral, stable shoe. Stable foot, and if that's the case, you tend to put less pressure on the plantar fascia. If you've got a really high arch and you're running in a shoe with no support, you're going to collapse, and that's going to put pressure on the fascia. The other way, if your foot's really flat and you're running in a shoe that's not giving you any support, again, it's stretching the fascia. So, it's basically like there's so many elements to it. So I think that's one thing. So if you see someone and they comment on your feet, if you're not sure, that might be a road to go down, and that might help. Simple things you can do at home if they are sore is getting a water bottle, tip a little bit out, throw it in the freezer, take it out about 20-30 minutes before you want to use it, throw it on the floor and roll through your arch. Especially if you've been at work all day and your feet are pretty sore, and in summer it's really good. You can get down there and you can crunch through the bottle, and that can help release the fascia. Massage can help. Stretching your calves will help. Because it's going to take, if you think about it, if you've got a bit more range here and a little bit less pressure underneath the foot. What else is there? So rolling out the foot, stretching, strengthening, there's heaps. But I think going back to your point about running and walking, you got to place a bit more pressure on the front of your ball of your foot. So sometimes that can, you're taking, the fascia is actually working, but it's a bit more static, it's more of a static contraction throughout, so that's why it might be less painful. It's just a theory, but, I think when we run, we tend to worry about how our lungs are feeling and everything else, so sometimes all those little niggles tend to go away too, so it's not always a direct representation of what's occurring. But I would look at maybe the shoes you're running in are different to the shoes you're walking in. Most of us might put on a decent pair of running shoes to go for a run, but when we're walking around, we're in thongs or flat shoes with no support. We're all guilty of it because generally they're the shoes that look the best. So that's probably why. In the mornings, it's because you've laid there, you might have curled your feet up, you've sort of rested, and then you wake up in the morning and go, oh, hang on. There's not much blood going through the area, so it's a little bit tender to touch. And because of where it is, it's right near the big bony prominence underneath your foot, your calcaneus. That's why it's sore. I think the best thing you can do in the morning is if you've got some cream next to your bed, give it a little bit of a roll through, heat it up a little bit, that might help. Give your calves a little bit of stretch. And the other thing is too, if you're not the night before, get the ice on there. So you're doing all the right things before, so that when you go to bed, you wake up in the morning, you might find it actually makes a little bit of difference day after day. But often it's a matter of doing a whole lot of things, and then eventually we tend to turn the corner with these things.
Yeah, sweet, easy. So the next one we got is from Mitchy Nerlin. So Mitchy drives for Uber, so he's driving a lot. So if you two drive a lot, whether you're trading and you're driving hours a day, whether you're like commuting to the city and you're sitting kind of hour and a half in, hour and a half back, this could be a good one for you as well. What are some good ways to manage or strengthen weak hips and glutes as a result of driving long periods of time?
All right. Hey Mitchy. Mitchy's my bit of driver as well. Look, I think there's a whole heap of exercises out there. Do you want me to show a couple of real quick ones, babe?
Yeah,
I'll show you. Probably going to be easiest.
Look, out of the way.
We'll do it, since we're all in isolation, we'll do it without any equipment. But simple thing you can do is get a little pillow from home, place against the wall. Alright, so you're pushing this leg, so it's up against the knee, push that leg into the wall, and then just a little bit of a squat on the left leg, so the stance leg, and just hold that position. And what you should find, if you keep your trunk nice and neutral, you're not falling forward, you'll start to feel it burn in this glute. Alright, so holding there, you can do static holds for 15, 20, 30 seconds, and then if that becomes too easy, you can start to add in a little squat. Alright, so if you've got a ball's better, because as the ball allows you to roll down, so you're not hitching your hips. Alright, that's a nice simple one. For anyone that's got their bands out there, you got any here? Those little...
Yeah, hang on, where is she?
Beautiful. Alright, so you can get these from physios. Red Bull sell them as well. You can get simple little bands, and one I really like is a little compass, what I call the compass. So again, little squat on that stance leg, and then we're going to dance to the point. So I don't know if you can see me.
Move it down a bit.
Yeah, just down a little bit. Beautiful. So all we're doing is I've got the band around my legs, and I'm just adding in a little step on each leg. Alright? And literally, you'll start to feel that really burn on that leg. Okay? That's another one. Another one I like is what I call a fire hydrant. I'll do this one without the band, so it's a bit taut.
She's tight.
So standing on one leg, and you'll see it, it's a very similar position, and because it's an athletic position, but standing on that leg, the aim is to keep this knee straight, and as we come back, push out with that left leg, and then I'm going to open up as if I'm like a dog, go to the toilet, come back in, and then back up. And then again, bang, bang. Alright, and if you can add bands that are a little bit stretchier than that one to make it a little bit harder.
I did fucking stitch it.
The other one I'll just quickly show you is lay on the ground. This is a nice and easy one. It's an oldie but a goodie. But you're simple, you know, leg up to the side. The only thing I'll say to this is you don't want to feel it in the front. So if you're feeling through the front of your leg, you're not actually engaging your glutes, you're engaging your quads and your TFL, alright? And that's what we don't want. So we want to be feeling it in your glutes. So you can do that with a straight leg. And again, you can do your old, open up with that leg. You keep your heels together, so that makes it a little bit harder than keeping on the ground. You can do it on the ground as well. Okay. Sweet.
Easy. Alright, there you go. A little bit of a kind of demonstration from Luke, eh? After a big day of work. How good's that? Let me just see if this camera is where we need it to be. Yeah, we're swank on you're in. Yeah, you're in. Okay, so if you've ever kind of got weak, kind of tight hips, anything like that, there's a couple of kind of perfect ones for you. Obviously, it doesn't just have to be sitting in a car. Obviously, you can get kind of weak glutes, tight hips, all that from sitting at a desk as well. So if you are sitting for long periods, that's probably, you know what I mean, a couple of good exercises that you can do at home on your own as well. So we've only really got one more question, unless anyone wants to post it in the group. This last one is from Tim Wood. So I have a reoccurring hamstring injury. I try strengthening and stretching, but I still feel a little niggle which stops me from running at my full ability. Any idea of how to overcome it? Just while you're talking, I might just say this. Yeah, so it's an old hammy injury that he's had for a while, and it seems to be sweet on most things, but it just feels like he gets a little niggle when he tries to run too hard, too much.
Yeah, okay. So look, I think hamstrings they're a tough area. For those that have been following sport, there's been a whole heap of hammy injuries and recurring hammy injuries, and I think we're starting to understand them better and better. But I think based on what I'm reading with and hearing from your injuries, that it's probably when we look at hamstrings, it's a soft tissue structure that, you know, we want to strengthen, and we do that in the gym first, and then when we go to run, we strengthen it when we're running too by adding load. Without having seen you, I think it's probably a case of, is your strength in the gym, so whether you're hammy bridging, you know, your eccentric exercise, your Nordics, your back extensions, all those sorts of things that really we use to test our hammy strength. If that's not correlating with how fast you want to run, you're going to have that, your body's going to let you know, oh, hang on, something's not right here. So it probably sounds like it's probably a little bit of that your hammy's at a point that you can jog and you can maybe run at 60-70%, but when you're getting up to that 80-90%, you might not have your hammy strength there, and it's your body's way of going, hang on, stop this, because if you keep trying to do this, I'm gonna re-tear. That's probably what is going on. So it's probably something as simple as, you know, look at your hammy strength. Do some hip bridges where, you know, laying on the ground, placing your leg up on a bench, and then doing your. So if this leg was up on a bench, I bridge myself up. So this is on the floor, but make it a little bit harder. Put this leg up on a bench and then bridge yourself up. Count how many you can do on either side. And that's a quick little test you can see. And what's the quality like? Yeah, you might do 12 on each side, but is the quality not as good on that side? That's a real simple one. Obviously, we can be a lot more descriptive in the clinic. We can look at, you know, your resistive flexion tests, and they've got these cool little things now called the Nord ball, where we can actually test hammy strength side to side. But I think, mate, it probably looks like you've probably got to do maybe a little bit more work strengthening wise, and that will hopefully allow you to then hit those speeds.
Sweet. Okay, so let me just jump back in here. Guys, that's pretty much all the questions that we've got. If you've got any others, feel free to chuck them in now. We'll kind of just hang out maybe a minute, see if we can get any, but don't be shy. If there's anything you want kind of Luke to maybe just expand a little bit further on, I know he's gone into some good detail and everything so far, or you've got some completely different questions, don't kind of be embarrassed by it. Everyone kind of goes through something, and if you want to know something, ask it, because as said at the start of this video, this might be the only opportunity you get to talk to someone with Luke's experience. So yeah, take full advantage of it while you can. But
I think I'll just say that whenever you sort of coming back from an injury, we've all been guilty of it. I've been guilty of in the past to overcomplicate things. Start with the most basic movement, perfect it, and then move on. So if you can't do a bodyweight heel raise without, like, for instance, you know, if we're going up and we're coming up on one leg and we're hitching our hip, you can't do, you know, you should be able to do 30 of those before you start to add load. You know, so simple things like that. I think don't overcomplicate it. Get good at the basics, especially if we're in isolation. We don't have access to load, you know, heavy weights and things like that. And you know, a lot of us have, you know, been stood down from work and that. So getting to the physio is difficult and paying for it and all that. So I think, yeah, don't overcomplicate it. Think about what you're trying to achieve, perfect the basic movement, and then progress it. And you know, if you've got any other further questions after tonight, hit me up. I mean, I'm happy to you know, talk to people, run you through things. You know, it's a tough time for everyone. So,
100%. So Luke kind of hit the nail on the head right there. He's kind of been good enough to come in and give us his time and answer some questions that people have, but it's all just about trying to stick together and help each other through these tough times. So obviously show some love to Luke as well. He came in, took time out of his day to do this for us. So jump on over to his Instagram page, Rehab by Luke. I'll post in the comments so you know it. Give it a like, give it a share, you know what I mean? Comment on his posts, all that sort of stuff. Get involved. It's just about helping each other kind of through everything that everyone's going through. And if you have further questions, or you did ask a question, you kind of might want him to go into a little bit more, ask him there. But other than that, he is working up at Guymere Physio Focus. Obviously, he's pretty much full-time with NRL, but NRL's kind of on a bit of hiatus at the moment with everything that's going on. So he's got a bit more availability and a bit more time up there. So yeah, jump on up, Guymere Physio Focus in the main street of Guymere. Other than that,
it's 2 doors down from the 7-Eleven, across from St Catherine's primary school.
Sweet.
Right.
Other than that, I will save this video, so if you want to go back through and kind of re-watch anything or take down some notes, you know what I mean, feel free. But Other than that, thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching.
Thanks,
it's
guys.
kind of both our first live Q&A, so it's a bit awkward for us as well. But yeah, hopefully you got something out of it. Other than that, but I'll kind of chat to you all soon. And thank you to Luke.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Legends. Right, let's get that.